So, welcome everyone to our Interfaith Prayer and Discussion meeting. This is 122nd. The purpose of this meeting is to foster the devotional character of the society where we live and to bring an understanding that all the religions have the common foundation and to remove any prejudices. So we have Tracy will be doing the honoring indigenous people in the land, and then we have 2 pieces of music, and we have 8 readings, and there's a closing music. And then I will introduce the speaker tonight. And today is a special day for the Baha'is, the beginning of the Rizwan festival, 12 days of celebration. And the day that Baha'u'llah announced in public that he is the promised one. So this is the king of festivals, we call it. So I ask Tracy, please.
Okay, thank you. So I am speaking from the land of the Worimi people in North Arm Cove, but we're all living on the land of different Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, except for our guest speaker. But we are living on lands that for thousands of years, thousands of generations, they obeyed the call of God to be good stewards of the land and taking care of the land in relationship to the land, and also taking care of all the people that were on the land, which is quite, to do it for tens of thousands of years is an incredible achievement. And we are living on the foundation of all that effort in this land. And so we want to pay our respects to the elders in the past who have maintained that, and currently, and the young who are coming up who are being educated, and that we too want to understand how we can be good stewards and we can carry that knowledge forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا وقمرا منيرا وهو الذي جعل الليل والنهار خلفة لمن أراد أن يذكر أو أراد شكورا وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما والذين يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما إنها ساءت مستقرا ومقاما والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما والذين لا يدعون مع الله إلها آخر آخر ولا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون ومن يفعل ذلك يلقى أثاما يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل عملا صالحا فأولئك يبدل الله سيئاتهم حسنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما ومن تاب وعمل صالحا فإنه يتوب إلى الله متابا والذين لا يشهدون الزور وإذا مروا باللغو مروا كراما والذين إذا ذكروا بآيات ربهم لم يخروا عليها صما وعميانا والذين يقولون ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما أولئك يجزون الغرفة بما صبروا ويلقون فيها تحية وسلاما خالدين فيها حسنت مستقرا ومقاما قل ما يعبأ بكم ربي لولا دعاؤكم فقد كذبتم فسوف يكون لزاما.
Oh my God, there is no one but Thee to allay the anguish of my soul. Ooh. Thou art my highest aspiration. Oh my God, oh my God, ooh, ooh. My heart is wedded to none save Thee. Such as Thou dost love, I solemnly declare my life and death are both for Thee. the anguish of my soul. Ooh. Thou art my highest aspiration. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ooh.
In thine esteemed letter, thou hast inquired which of the prophets of God should be regarded as superior to others. Know thou assuredly that the essence of all the prophets of God is one and the same. Their unity is absolute. God the Creator saith, there is no distinction whatsoever among the bearers of my message. They all have but one purpose. Their secret is the same secret. To prefer one in honor to another, to exalt certain ones above the rest, is in no wise to be permitted. Every true prophet had regarded his message as fundamentally the same as the revelation of every other prophet gone before him. If any man therefore should fail to comprehend this truth and should consequently indulge in an unseemly language, no one whose sight is keen and whose understanding is enlightened would ever allow such idle talk to cause him to waver in his belief. Baha'i scripture.
The measure of revelation of the prophets of God in this world, however, must differ. Each and every one of them has been the bearer of distinct message and has been commissioned to reveal himself through specific acts. It is for this reason that they appear to vary in their greatness. The revelation may be likened unto the light of the moon that sheds its radiance upon the earth. For every time it appears, it reveals a fresh measure of its brightness, yet its inherent splendor can never diminish, nor can its light suffer extinction. The fundamental purpose animating the faith of God and his religion is to safeguard the interest and promote the unity of the human race. The religion of God is for love and unity. Make it not the cause of enmity or dissension. Religion is verily the chief instrument for the establishment of order in the world and of tranquility amongst its peoples. Religion, moreover, is not a series of beliefs, a set of customs. Religion is the teachings of the Lord God, teachings which constitute the very life of humankind, which urge high thoughts upon the mind, refine the character, and lay the groundwork for man's everlasting honor. Baha'i scriptures.
We gave Moses the book and followed him with succession of messengers. We gave Jesus, the son of Mary, clear signs and strengthened him with the Holy Spirit. Is it that whenever there comes to you a messenger with what ye yourself desire not, ye are puffed up with pride? Some ye call impostors, and others ye sly. The messenger believeth in what hath been revealed to him from his Lord, as do the men of faith. Each one of them believeth in Allah, his angels, his books, and his messengers. We make no distinction, they say, between one and another of his messengers. And they say, we hear and we obey. We seek thy forgiveness, our Lord, and to thee is the end of all journey.
Long-suffering patience is the supreme ascetic practice. Nirvana is supreme, says Buddha. He is certainly not an ascetic who hurts others, or nor is he a man of religion who causes suffering to others. The Bhikkhu who lives full of goodwill, with faith in the religion of the Buddha, he will reach a place of peace, satisfaction, or stilling the functions of the mind. Buddhist scriptures, whenever there is a decline in righteousness or bara, and the rise of your religion, it is then that I send forth my spirit for the salvation of the good, the destruction of the evildoers, and for firmly establishing righteousness. I manifest myself from age to age. Hindu scriptures.
If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceeded from the Father, he shall testify of me. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. He shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. Christian scriptures.
The purpose of the one true God, exalted be his glory, in revealing himself unto men, is to lay bare those gems that lie hidden within the mind of their true and inmost selves. That the diverse communions of the earth and the manifold systems of religious belief should never be allowed to foster the feelings of animosity amongst men is in this day of the essence of the faith of God and his religion. These principles and laws, these firmly established and mighty systems have proceeded from one source and are the rays of one light. That they differ one from another is to be attributed to the varying requirements of the ages in which they were promulgated. The prophets of God should be regarded as physicians whose task is to foster the well-being of the world and its peoples, that through the spirit of oneness, they may heal the sickness of a divided humanity. Little wonder then if the treatment prescribed by the physician in this day should not be found to be identical with that which he prescribed before. How could it be otherwise when the ills affecting the sufferer necessitate at every stage of his sickness a special remedy? Baha'i scriptures.
The differences among the religions of the world are due to the varying types of minds. So long as the power of the mind are various, it is certain that men's judgments and opinions will differ one from another. If, however, one single universal perceptive power be introduced, a power encompassing all the rest, those differing opinions will merge, and spiritual harmony and oneness will become apparent. For example, when the Christ was made manifest, the minds of the various contemporary peoples, their views, their emotional attitudes, whether they were Romans, Greeks, Syrians, Israelites, or others, were at variance with one another. But once his universal power was brought to bear, it gradually succeeded, after the lapse of 300 years, in gathering together all those divergent minds under the protections and within the governance of one central point, all sharing the same spiritual emotions in their hearts. Baha'i scripture.
Muhammad never fought against the Christians. On the contrary, he treated them with consideration and accorded them complete freedom. In Najran, there lived a community of Christians, and they were under his care and protection. Muhammad said, "Should anyone infringe upon their rights, I myself will be his enemy and will charge him before God." In the edicts he promulgated, it is clearly stated that the lives, property, and honor of Jews and Christians are under the protection of God, that a Muslim husband may not prevent his Christian wife from going to church, nor oblige her to wear a veil, that if she died, he must entrust her remains to the care of a priest, and that if the Christians desired to build a church, the Muslims must support them. Furthermore, in time of war between Islam and her enemies, the Christians were to be exempt from fighting unless they desired of their own accord to join and assist the Muslims in battle, in view of the protection they enjoyed. In compensation for this exemption, they were to pay each year a small amount. In short, there are 7 lengthy edicts on these subjects, copies of some of which are to this day extant in Jerusalem. This is the very truth and not merely my own assertion. The edict of the second caliph is still in the custody of the Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem, and the matter is beyond doubt. Nevertheless, after a time, rancor and envy arose between Muslims and Christians as transgressions were committed by both sides. Beyond this truth, whatever Muslims, Christians, or others may say is pure fabrication and proceeds from fanaticism, ignorance, or intense hostility. Abdul Baha.
Together the hearts unite and bind. Together the hearts join in accord all the souls. Join in accord all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together. Join in accord all the souls. Join in accord all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together. Join in accord all the souls. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind together. Faces radiant through the light of thy oneness.
Thank you all once again, those who have been reading the Holy Writings. A special welcome to Karthik. He's a new friend. I just got connected on WhatsApp only yesterday. Welcome, Karthik.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to be part of this great organization.
Yeah.
I was outside actually. I gone for some field work. Just now I reached my office and I am connecting with you all. And I got a very nice music. I was enjoying the music. Thank you very much for one and all.
Thank you. And one day he is going to talk at our meeting. And Radha, yeah, I don't know, maybe you would have joined before. Now we will go to the our main session now. We have Professor Dr. Rehani Kasimova. She is from Russia and she's a professor at Moscow State University. She's a gemologist and a peace activist. And she's going to talk about the importance of Rizwan festival. Today is the beginning of this festival for 12 days, the day that Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, publicly announced that he is the promised one of all ages. So we celebrate it as the king of festival. So without delaying much of the time and the expectation of all you eagerly waiting to hear Rehani, I welcome Rehani to begin her talk.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad that you invited me for this really big occasion and to speak about these days, very precious to Baha'is. And I think in future, and maybe now too, precious to all the people in the world. Yeah, just you can put the pictures what I can send you in WhatsApp and I will speak. Okay. Yeah. Just the first, on the first slide, we can read a quotation from the Baha'i holy book, Kitab-i-Aqdas.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, yes, it's good. It's great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And the quotation is, just you can put the next one. Verily, all created things. Yeah. Yes, this one, thank you. Verily, all created things were immersed in the sea of purification. When, on that first day of Rizwan, we shed upon the whole of creation the splendors of our most excellent names and our most exalted attributes. As I told, it is the quotation from the Baha'i precious and sacred book, Kitab-i-Aqdas, which was revealed by Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith. And just a little bit introduction to the history of this day. Withstanding the cruelest persecution, the Bab, you know the Bab, maybe you know, maybe you not know, the Bab is the founder of the Baha'i faith, and himself he was the founder of the Babi religion, lifted up his voice like the awakened dawn and stirring the sincere of heart for what was soon to emerge, gave himself over to the desperate enemy and was set free to soar high beyond the expanse of the heavens. As the echo of ballads faded, Baha'u'llah crashed beneath iron chains, thrown forth in the darkness and incandescent light unfurling a glorious new day. And it was in Siarchal. It was in 1852-53. One day, Baha'u'llah's brother was being crushed by a gang hoping to injure him. As he made it to entrance of the Russian consulate, they robbed him of his cloak. When the Russian consul, his name was Duke Yuri Dolgoruki, heard about this and then turned of Baha'u'llah's brutal imprisonment in an underground reservoir. He straight, as I told you, it was in Siarchal, he straight away rose up before the Shah and by using his great influence and pressure, brought about Baha'u'llah's release. And at the time, he asked the Russian Emperor, Alexander II, to help in this too. Iran moved Baha'u'llah far away to Baghdad. The Russians appointed guards to protect him along the way, threatening that if a hair should be lost from his head, war would follow that would burn Iran to cinders. Baha'u'llah stayed in Baghdad for 10 years. He shone before all men. You can show the Baghdad, the picture of Baghdad at the time. Yeah, the next slide, yeah. Yeah, this one, thank you. And just keep it and then slowly the next, I will tell you the next, yeah. This is the photo of Baghdad at that time. You can see the river. Yeah, Baghdad stayed in Baghdad for 10 years, as I told. He shone before all men and spread the call of God every day, inspiring life into the community of the Bab and causing every heart to tremble with wonder. Baghdad was very close to Persia, and several of its shrine cities a crossroads for Iranian pilgrims, and a haven and hotbed for political exiles. News of Baha'u'llah's extraordinary popularity with everyone poured endlessly into Tehran, and the authorities feared Baha'u'llah would influence their pilgrims and perhaps use his rising prominence to threaten the Persian government. In their meetings and gatherings, they tirelessly searched for ways to bring about Baha'u'llah's expulsion, and remorselessness pictures they built up filled the Shah with fear. For 3 long years, they tried every part, persuasion and pressure to cause Istanbul, at that time it was Constantinople, then sought other governments to do the same. But Istanbul at that time, I tell you Constantinople, you understand that this for modern it is Istanbul, yeah, because we are speaking at that time, yeah, stood solidly by Baha'u'llah, arranging for learned scholars to expose Baha'u'llah as ignorant. They instead walked away wholly satisfied, inciting gangs and hired assassins to have Baha'u'llah killed violently. Baha'u'llah faced them unarmed, without fear or harm. The Persian ambassador at the time became so frustrated at their lack of success, he cut off all connection to that government and refused to see the Sultan's ministers, until at last Constantinople found no alternative but to yield and move Baha'u'llah away. The Shah asked the Sultan to wipe out Baha'u'llah's influence and ensure he was moved very far away. They made a deal, and the telegram was sent to Baghdad directing his move out to Constantinople. The governor of Baghdad, however, admired Baha'u'llah immensely. When he received this telegram, he was quite unable to convey it, and a great many times had to be ordered. He responded that Baha'u'llah had lived there 10 years and no fault was ever seen in him. News of this telegram could not, however, be contained, and inevitably it began to spread. Baha'u'llah was encamped with his followers. You can show the next slide. Yeah, this is again the photo of Baghdad at the time, and you can see the river. Yeah, and the next slide, it might be house. Yeah. Yeah. This is the next slide, please, and then we will return to this one. Yeah, this is the house where Baha'u'llah was lived at the time in Baghdad. The photo was at that time. Baha'u'llah was encamped with his followers in an open area outside the city to mark the new year, and after a few days, his secretary came out from his tent and with Baha'u'llah's companions all gathered around him. He began chanting to them the tablet of the Holy Mariner. I am not giving you this tablet here, but if somebody want, we can share it to the attendants. The friends had never before felt such overwhelming sorrow. As they began to realize the period of Baghdad was soon to close. They finished chanting, and Baha'u'llah finished chanting, and then Baha'u'llah himself spoke, comparing all the tents around to the destructions of the world, that they are no sooner spread than they are rolled back. Observing this, he immediately ordered them folded up and requested everyone's return to the city. The tents were still being put away when a messenger arrived with an invitation to a meeting at the governor's headquarters. He handed it to Baha'u'llah, who accepted it. Baha'u'llah, however, made it known that his mission was not with rulers and officials and had no cause, therefore, to meet at the courthouse. Instead, he suggested meeting the next day in the mosque, just across the street from the governor. A great tumult quickly ceased and spread amongst Baha'u'llah's companions. Refusing to sleep or eat, many resolved to end their lives the moment they were parted from him. Baha'u'llah, with his loving kindness, gradually drew them away from the cause and resigned them to his good pleasure. The appointed hour came and the governor arrived at the mosque. He felt too ashamed to carry out his task and sent his deputy to pass on the order exiling Baha'u'llah to Istanbul, the capital of the empire. I saw that it was at that time Constantinople. Why I'm repeating, just not to make this, to make it clear to everybody. The order was presented to Baha'u'llah in the mosque, and the custom was made his own choice. Baha'u'llah gave his decision to go there, and the government provided him with money to make the journey. Baha'u'llah accepted it and immediately distributed the money to the poor. When Baha'u'llah was summoned before the magistrates, Abdul Baha, he was the eldest son, he is the eldest son of Baha'u'llah, stepped forward and declared his firm desire to go in Baha'u'llah's place. However, Baha'u'llah prevented this and went himself. Great numbers of people assembled about Baha'u'llah's house. And when they saw him leave, they were one and all thrown into the most visible grief, feeling he might never return to them. The magistrates respected and loved Baha'u'llah immensely, and having found themselves unable to stop or change the exile, they apologized with great sorrow. Baha'u'llah remained in conference with them all day, yet no way was found to prevent the decree. His followers were still gathered around the house, you see on the photo, when the news arrived, and their hearts sank to the depths. The fierce natures of many Arabs present below to the surface with violent declaration, and they implored Baha'u'llah not to desert them, feeling that without him as their shepherd, they would die. Also, desiring to go alone, his family wept and insisted so intensely that they accompany him. He, in the end, agreed they could, and named those who would stay behind. He said they must prepare to set out on the exile in 2 weeks. However, the next day, they utterly overran the house and no preparations were possible. Gradually, Baha'u'llah began to convey to his future followers what was approaching. His festive, soul-entrancing poems and writings, the conversations he held, and the change in his manner were full of hints of the prophetic office and leadership he was about to take on. Exaltation and sadness would flood his soul, and boundless ecstasy filled his lovers' hearts. In the nighttime, his secretary would gather them all together in his room, close the door, and under the light of many fragrant candles, he would chant for them the newly revealed poems and writings in his possession. Immersed in the realms of the spirit, they would become obvious of world around. And forgetting entirely any need for food, drink, or sleep, would suddenly discover the night having passed and the sun approaching noon. The next few weeks were exceptionally busy. Baha'u'llah revealed a personal tablet to every one of his friends in Baghdad, adult and child, alike, writing for them with his own hand. Can you imagine it? He received innumerable visitors and made the practical preparations necessary for the caravan journey. The arrangements required for the journey were exceptionally demanding. Baha'u'llah suggested moving across the river into the garden of one of his friends, and there with Abdul Baha received the visitors, freeing the house. And you can, a previous photo you can show, yeah. The previous, no, on the next, no. This is later. Yeah, this one. This is, you can see, this is the place where he planned to move, and you can see the river on the both sides. It watered this place. Baha'u'llah suggesting moving across the river into the garden of one of his friends, and there with Abdul Baha received the visitors, freeing the house from the turmoil of people and allowing the family to pack. The master, it is the title of Abdul Baha, as I told you, the eldest son of Baha'u'llah, made the arrangements for Baha'u'llah to go to the garden. And in every way, he could shield Baha'u'llah from the pounding insistence of the world around. This suggestion of moving out from the house was repeated amongst the friends, and quickly became distorted until a rumor circulated that Baha'u'llah was being taken away alone, and everyone came pouring in masses, wild with grief and unable to be calmed. Provisions were moved into the garden. A tent was set in the center of Baha'u'llah, and other tents were arranged throughout the garden, forming a little village. The garden was blooming with bright red roses, colorful flowers, tulips, and luxuriantly green trees. A pool of water stood in the middle of Baha'u'llah's tent, and everywhere outside streams of water flowed in all directions. Everyone was devoted to making the garden more beautiful than it had ever been. And now the next slide with the map. Yeah, you can see the photos of this garden and the river and the map of Baghdad at the time. And the green one, it shows where is this place was. Mm-hmm. On the appointed afternoon, the 19th year of the faith, the 22nd April 1863, Baha'u'llah emerged from the inner room of the house and set out with Abdul Baha toward the garden and lay over the river 10 minutes from the city gate. You can understand from the map that it is really 10 minutes from the city gate. On his head, he now wore conspicuously attached a tall, beautifully adorned felt hat that he, from that moment on, would wear throughout his ministry. And this Taj, you can see, if anybody will go for pilgrimage in Haifa, you can see it is on the bed. You can see it. And the photo of this, I didn't put it, I forgot it, but but the next time we will show it. Yeah, Shiva. Yeah. People of every rank, nationality, and walk of life gathered from all quarters of the city and threatened the approaches to his house. Men and women of every age, friends and strangers from every social class, the poor, the orphaned, and the outcasts, merchants, notables, clerics, and officials, the vast majority, and connected to the faith of the Bab, the Baha'i ladies congregating together in the courtyard, all waited, amazed, heartbroken, and apprehensive. As Baha'u'llah, before going to the other explanation about the Baha'i behavior, I just want to say you about this place. Or not, let me talk and then we will show the picture. Yeah. As Baha'u'llah stepped outside, a rush of people poured forward from all directions, humbling themselves before him, weeping greatly. Baha'u'llah stood for some time amidst the weeping and lamenting hearts, speaking words of comfort and promising to receive each of them later in the garden. When he had walked some way towards the gate, amid the crowds, a child of just a few years rushed towards and clung to his robes, weeping aloud and begging in his tender voice that he not live. They were lamenting the departure of one who, for a decade, has imparted to them the warmth of his love and the radiance of his spirit, who had been the refuge and guide for all. As he descended the steps from the courtyard into the narrow street, just before it joined the main road, the entire area was thronging with people, both believers and others, and all movement was impossible. Friends could not distinguish from strangers, and the sound of lamentation and grief rose up everywhere from all alike. suckling babies were cast under Baha'u'llah's feet. He raised those infants tenderly, one by one, blessing them, and gently and lovingly replaced them in their sorrowing mother's arms, charging them to bring up those them in this to bring up those dear flowers of humanity to serve God in steadfast faith and utmost truth. In steadfast faith and utmost truth. Why I repeated this, I maybe will tell you later. Just remind it, steadfast faith and utmost truth. Men threw themselves in his path, hoping that his feet might touch them and bless them as he passed. It took him some minutes to place each foot upon the ground. One man had an only child, which had come to him late in his life. And he stripped the clothes from the child's body and placing it at the Baha'u'llah's feet, he cried, "Next, I give you my child, my precious child, to do with us you will. Only promise not to leave us in distress. Without you, we cannot live." Everyone was crying, pressing in to approach Baha'u'llah, to hear his words, touch him, or receive a comforting glance, falling and weeping as they lost, seeing no more value in life. Baha'u'llah bade each person farewell, caressing and soothing everyone. Such grief they had that all those who were to accompany Baha'u'llah sorrowed along with those to be left behind. The streets and housetops all along his way were crowded with Baha'u'llah's friends. Such a commotion Baghdad was rarely seen. Upon the way, and with an open hand, Baha'u'llah provided to the poor he had so faithfully befriended, uttering words of comfort to the disconsolate as they pleaded with him on every side, until at long last Baha'u'llah managed to reach the banks of the river Tigris. As he prepared to cross, he entrusted the city of Baghdad to his devoted friends, that through their deeds and conduct the flame of love which continued to glow within the hearts of its people. Now we're coming to this culminating point of that days. Baha'u'llah boarded a small boat waiting for him. The people pressed all around him, wishing to be in his presence for as long as they could. The boat pushed off and ferried Baha'u'llah across the water in company with Abdul Baha Purus branch, another of his sons, and his secretary. I will name them. It was Mirza Mefti and Mirza Muhammad Ali, and Secretary Mirza Aga Jan. Yeah, I just named them. Yeah. And the companions on the bank all watched with sorrowing hearts as he receded into the distance. Baha'u'llah set foot on the opposite bank and crossed into the garden at 2 hours to sunset. At 2 hours to sunset, just as the call of, this is the quotation, "God is the greatest," resounded throughout the district from the pinnacles of the mosque, summoning the inhabitants to the late afternoon prayer. It is the habit in the Muslim religion. Shortly after Baha'u'llah's arrival, the river rose up, making it difficult to cross, and it was only on the 9th day that the whole of the Baha'u'llah's family went over to join him.
Just like malaria or dengue fever, Zika virus,
I'm so sorry. Yeah. An extraordinary acceleration and marvelous exaltation in the atmosphere filled the companions that day. As they remained watching on the bank, they were aware of this, yet unable to understand what in due time they would come to learn. Seeing the boat reach the other side and Baha'u'llah disappear in the distance, they headed off on foot toward the main bridge floating on the river, making their way to the garden where food was cooking and tea prepared for the friends. For 12 days, Baha'u'llah stayed in the garden and would be found each day in the utmost joy, walking majestically in the flower-lined avenues and among the trees. The friends living in Baghdad would come during the day and return home each night, whilst others would be engaged in service to those in the garden. Eminent rulers, clergy, and jurists would come continuously to Baha'u'llah's tent with their insoluble problem and take their leave satisfied with their dilemmas entirely solved. On the very first day of Rizwan festivities, Baha'u'llah shone out to the world like the most brilliant sun. At that crucial hour, and without warning, amidst the unending multitude of interrupting visitors thronging his tent and the dangers such a news would bring to his exile, Baha'u'llah chose to lay bare the mystery surrounding his person, assuming the power and authority of the one promised by the Bab, and not only Bab, but all the previous messengers of God too. He made known how the effulgence of the eternal truth had at that moment infused all created things with the life of every divine quality, immersing creation in the sea of purification. The sword was to be utterly cast from the reach. And he made it known that the next messenger would come to the world only after 1,000 years. In such a way, through many signs, Baha'u'llah conveyed his position to those who were present and announced with great joy the start of the festival of Rizwan. Through the threshold of his exile into great suffering in far-away lands, yet sadness and grief entirely vanished from everyone's hearts, replaced with unclouded delight. Each day in the garden, before the sun had dawned, the gardeners would pick the roses which lined the 4 avenues and peel them up in the center of the floor inside Baha'u'llah's tent. So great would be the heat that his companions gathering to drink their morning tea in his presence would be unable to see each other across it. Baha'u'llah, one moment. Baha'u'llah would entrust these roses. I'm ending. Baha'u'llah would entrust these roses with his own hands to the friends. He would send out each morning on his behalf to be delivered to his Arab and Persian friends in the city. Food was brought from the house of Baha'u'llah in Baghdad, where his family was still in residence, and also from another house. For some days, there was much wind and Baha'u'llah's tent was swaying about. The friends took it in turns throughout the night, and they to sit and keep the tent's rope steadily in case it should be blown down. The whole happiness in so doing being to be so near to Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah would summon a number of his companions to him each day and dismiss them in the evening. Those without family ties were allowed to remain for the night, with the reminder turning to their homes. Every morning and afternoon, Baha'u'llah would speak of the Bab's cause and intimate his own. Without any trace of sadness, he radiated force and utmost joy. The notables and ordinary devoted people of the city, yearning to visit Baha'u'llah, were unable to bear the separation and would arrive from Baghdad each day in streams and a succession of ways, offering their last farewell, and take their leave with the feelings of profound sorrow. I will not stay on each day, 5 days, and say, and it was important. Day was 5, 8-day declaration, and 9 days. When family arrived on the 9 days, the river settled down and the flood of waters receded, and Baha'u'llah's family, having completed the preparations, crossed the boat bridge and into the garden, and the river overflowed a second time. And the main day was 12 days when flooding subsided again on the 12th days, and everyone went across the river to enter the presence of Baha'u'llah. The day at last came to a close, and Baha'u'llah announced that he would be leaving for coming afternoon. Yeah, and I just want to mark some significance, just very short of why it is important for not only Baha'is, for whole world these days. At the time that Baha'u'llah spent at the Garden of Rizwan, and now just can you show the picture, Shiva?
Yep.
Yeah. Picture. Yeah. Just I will tell about a little short story. This is the garden, and the next it is the picture photo of the previous owner of this garden. It was in the name of this Pasha. This place was named Najibiya Garden, but Baha'u'llah by himself called it Rizwan. Why Rizwan? Garden of Rizwan. You can just the next picture. And on this picture you can see it is the Persian miniature painted by Al-Hakim Nishapuri, depicting the expulsion of Adam and Eve, and observed by the angel Rizwan over the doors of the garden, the serpent and the peacock and the ibris. And this is the like from Muslim comes, and the meaning of Rizwan in Arabic, it means paradise, as is this angel who is on the guarding this gate into the paradise and the heaven. Yeah, and this is just a small picture. Yeah. At the time that Baha'u'llah spent at the Garden of Rizwan, as he named this place, in April 1863, and the associated festival and celebration has a very large significance for Baha'is. Baha'u'llah calls it one of the most great festivals and describes the first day as the day of supreme facility. And he then describes the Garden of Rizwan by himself, the spot from which he shed upon the whole of creation the splendors of his name, the All-Merciful. The festival is significant because of Baha'u'llah's private declaration to a few followers that he was him whom God shall make manifest, and a manifestation of God, and thus it forms the beginning point of the Baha'i faith as distinct from the Babi religion. It is also significant because Baha'u'llah left his house in Baghdad, you saw the picture, photo, which he designed the most great house to enter the garden of Rizwan. Baha'u'llah compares this move from the most great house to the garden of Rizwan to Muhammad's travel from Mecca to Medina. Before going to another, I just want to say that in Bible you can find the place where, in my by memory, that the God will come on this place, and they exactly in the Bible you can find the definition of this place, that it is in the between two rivers, exactly this place. It is when I was speaking with this Jehovah Witnesses, they know Bible, they know Bible by memory, and when they spoke about this place, I was like shocked with this, that in Bible you can find this the sign, direct sign of this place, of this Rizwan garden. Furthermore, during Baha'u'llah's first day in the garden, he made 3 further announcements, and this is very important. First, abrogating religious war, which was permitted under certain conditions in Islam and Babi faith and in Christians and so on. Second, that there would not be another manifestation of God for another 1,000 years. And third, that all the names of God were fully manifest in all things. These statements appear in the text written some year after 1863, which has been included in the compilation Days of Remembrance, section 9. Nader Saidi states that these 3 principles are affirmed, expounded, and institutionalized in Baha'u'llah's Kitab Aqdas, which was completed in 1873, 10 years after exile, after he was in Baghdad and exiled in Baghdad. Through his life, Baha'u'llah wrote several tablets and prayers on the occasion of Rizwan, among which was the following: Huri Yujab tablet, the wondrous maiden; Ruh-i Ashid va Mahshud, tablet, the love and the beloved; Surah Kalam, surah of the pen. Pen, you know the pen, the most precious pen. It is one of the titles of Baha'u'llah. This and several others are published in the volume titled Days of Remembrance. There is one period is also the time when and now we are come to the modern, to our now life. Yeah, there is one period is also the time when Baha'i elections for the local and national spiritual assembly take place every year, as well as the election of the Universal House of Justice every 5 years. And this year, it is the same year when just at the end of this week, the members of National Assembly of Russia will move to the holy place, to Haifa, to act, to be involved and to take part in this election of the Universal House of Justice for the next 5 years. Annually, during the Rizwan, the Universal House of Justice, just please the next slide. Yeah, it is the end. Annually, during Rizwan, the Universal House of Justice sent a Rizwan message to worldwide Baha'i community, which generally looks back on the previous year and provides further guidance for the coming year. I didn't reach still for the year, but I hope we will soon reach this message of the Universal House of this year, and we will know what we did, and what will happen in the future. You know, I have a friend of mine, she's journalist in the Moscow State University. She's PhD in journalistic sciences. And always she called to me before and said, did you receive this Universal House of message for the Rizwan? Please read it to me. because he understands and he make his future plans for the coming year. And she's declared Baha'is, but she's like a very philosophic woman and lady. And what you see, and I want to finish my today's presentation with this photo. Why? This is by himself writings by Baha'u'llah, one of the his messages which he wrote in Rizwan garden at that time. Yeah, this is a calligraphy. Yeah, form. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. Yeah, it was very exciting because it is really royal, really this coming.
Thank you very much, because we have our Rizwan. Many friends have to go to the Rizwan election. Just 2 minutes. The visitors, Tracy, Val, and Jung. Anyone else who have not heard about Baha'i faith much can ask one question each.
Yeah, you are welcome. Yeah, we have in Moscow, we have elections tomorrow on Friday.
But we have to go now.
We have tonight.
Yeah.
So we don't have much time. Anyone?
Yeah.
Tracy or Val or
No,
Jung?
I don't have a question.
Can I just ask a quick question? With the Baha'i holiday, you work in hour from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening? Is that a working hour for Baha'i?
Sunset to sunrise.
So 6 a.m. in the morning until 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Like
the Baha'i day is actually from sunset to sunset.
No, from sun arising to sunset.
No. The Baha'i day starts.
Yes. From sunset, yes, to sun arising. Yes, it is the day. Yes, you are right.
The day just started for Baha'i calendar, and it will end in the next sunset. Yes.
Thank you. So they will not work for emergency services then?
No, they will work. People are exempted from these kinds of things. It's not hard and fast. Yeah.
Just one thing what I want to add you, that I don't know, I think maybe Shoghi Effendi, maybe I don't know exactly who of them, Baha'u'llah, Abdul Baha, Shoghi Effendi told about this. I think Shoghi Effendi, that in future, the people will work only 3 hours. They must divide their day for different purposes, for work, for to earn the money, for food and so on, to keep the family in safety and so on, and to pay for their payments. Third, for their own spiritual growth, and third, for the rest. And in future, as I know, people will work only 3 hours to earn the money, and this is the hour. Yeah, just keeping in mind.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a question?
No, thank you. No, thank you for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. And anyone else have a burning question to Rehani? Otherwise, we have to close because we had to rush to our.
Yeah, I understand.
You all enjoy your celebration.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr. Rehani.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you that you love it. I tried all my best.
Thank you, and God bless you. Happy
Joyce
Rizwan.
Rizwan.
Okay, bye.